Welcome to From Potential to Powerhouse, Success Secrets from Female Leaders, where female trailblazers share their journeys and the aha moments that made all the difference. With your host, serial entrepreneur and trailblazer herself, Tracy Holland.
Rhonda is currently the CIO, CTO of Herbalife. Is there another?
Herbalife Nutrition.
Herbalife Nutrition, but is it CIO, CTO?
It's just technology.
Chief Technology Officer.
Yeah, I would say Chief Information Officer when you see it on the title, but that means multiple things in the technology world.
And Herbalife Nutrition, which I love Herbalife Nutrition products.
Great.
I mean, and I know that is how many people in the organization in total?
Well, there's thousands of people, but there's a couple million distributors around the world in over 96 plus countries. So it's global.
Wow.
And it's great to be doing this in LA.
Welcome today. I'm really excited. And Herbalife Nutrition's based in LA. Because
Correct.
I've seen their offices over there. So I'm lucky to have you here today and capture you in person and live.
I wouldn't have it any other way being with you, Tracy. It's
Yes,
great.
It's so fun. So you have an incredible career, and I really want to dive into how you've become such a hugely successful technology expert. I read in your bio 50 most powerful women in tech, but then I just heard recently you were like the top 10 tech.
Thanks, Tracy.
What was it? Tell me what you won. Some acknowledgement of the top 10 most powerful women in tech, or
yes.
Tell me that.
Thanks. I'm honored and humbled. From the industry peers, just leading through the pandemic and being a pillar and anchor and from a change perspective. So thanks. Thank you for saying that.
It's a big deal.
But if I can help people advance their career, that's what I'm about.
Yeah.
But I'm honored when it comes from your peers and CEOs that you've made an impact in the workplace. It means a lot. So I'm honored and humbled by it. So
and I mean, really, the top 10 women in tech. I'm trying to think of off the top of my head who are even really the big prominent women players in tech.
Oh, well, I look up to one who's Safra Katz, the CEO of Oracle.
Okay.
So she's very prominent, but there's not many of us. There needs to be more.
Right. I mean, that would not be a very big party. If you were to have the biggest party with all the top women in tech, there would be, 10 of you?
Well, we could hopefully get more.
Can we get a full table here?
Yes, we can. There are more. They just need to come up and out and learn and grow. But there are more. I want more women in tech. I want all genders in tech because tech is fun.
Yeah.
It's innovative, it's creative.
Yeah.
It's fast paced. That's why I like it too. And it's always changing and it's dynamic and more people need to learn it because it used to be non-sexy.
Right.
For lack of a better word, you're in tech, oh, you're boring.
Yeah.
That's what we used to be stigma. I mean, it was a bad stigma.
Right.
And now look at the world during the pandemic. Tech has kept us going.
Right.
And we can't live without it.
Right.
So now everyone's interested in it.
And just to highlight some of the other companies that you've been involved in, you have had an incredible global role in some of these businesses. And so I'm just going to name some that I am familiar with you being in these leadership roles: Estee Lauder, Barclays, Lehman Brothers, JP Morgan, Chase, and AIG.
Yes.
Is that all right?
It's all right, and all of them at pivotal points of the world. So Bank One, JP Morgan Chase merger.
Okay.
So did that, stayed there for a while. Lehman going under, unwinding
Whoa.
that, and then moving to Barclays. I moved to London, lived through 9/11, all of that. I lived through Too Big to Fail, AIG. I was there for Too Big to Fail, and proud of that moment too. A part of not letting it fail,
Yes.
AIG. So that is another one. And Estee Lauder, all the different brands at Estee Lauder. That was fun as well from a digital transformation. I had so much fun with all those brands. So I like quick and fast and changing environments. And you're right, they've all been global, and I've been blessed with such a great team. It's a team effort.
Of course.
And
yeah.
the companies are all so unique, but they were all male dominated field until I got to Estee Lauder. So it's been an interesting journey.
I want to talk about that. So, and I'm just going to also mention for those who don't know Rhonda yet but want to get to know her better, you're also an author of Grit and Grind, which is a best-selling book. I really enjoyed reading this book.
Thank you.
And she talks about the 10 best practices for living an extraordinary life. One of the things that I found extraordinary is your athleticism and your commitment to being an athlete. One of the things that blew me away is that you've been in over 70 triathletes or triathlons.
That's correct.
When I started reading that you ran a 55-mile race, I immediately thought, okay, we need to dig into that. But your commitment to being an athlete and the things that you've done on the athletic side has really fueled a lot of your, I think, professional career too. And there's this interesting mirror back and forth between your tenacity, your resilience, your commitment to training.
Yes.
As well as this ladder that you've climbed on your career track in tech. So we want to dig into that. One of the things I love doing in these conversations so that those listening have something that they can listen for and take away. Ultimately, for those women who want to be in the tech space, my goal at the end of this conversation is that we can lead them through some of the things that you would say are must considerations, must haves, must do's to be successful in the tech space, so that as they're listening, they can think through that. But what I do also like to do is highlight the potential part before the powerhouse, because a lot of times, I'm sure you've heard people say, wow, you're such a powerhouse, you've had this great career, you're so successful. But they don't understand that we all have that potential, and it was not always an easy path. So what was Rhonda like as a kiddo? Were you a rule follower? Were you successful in school? Or were you challenged? Or talk to me about that.
That's a great question. I would say I was always disciplined and into sports, so swimming was my strong suit, so I was always very disciplined. Was I a rule follower? Yes. I mean, I didn't go off the reservation and go crazy partying all the time, but I had my moments. But my single mom, come from nothing, so I had to be latchkey kid, very, very disciplined and independent. So thank goodness I didn't get into a lot of trouble. I was in sports, so it kept me very competitive and knowing a schedule. But I've also worked since I was in my teens. I've also worked early on, Red Cross babysitting, CPR, working after high school, working all through college, going to school, college full time. I've always worked.
And was that because mom didn't have the money to give you the things you wanted in addition, or because you needed the freedom to earn your own money, or what was the driver?
Great question, Tracy. She said, if you want it, you need to work for it. I don't have it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to see what she went through working so hard, getting up at 4 a.m., which we do now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we all work like crazy hours. But that's what people need to understand. It's not instant gratification.
Right.
There's a hard journey there.
Right.
And thank goodness she instilled that when I was younger.
So you were getting good grades, following the rules.
I was getting good grades, following the rules, but it was hard.
Yeah.
I was not in a sorority or fraternity in college because I was working, and I had always had friends. I have girlfriends since I was 2 years old, and very loyal friendships. So I have a great support system. But no, I was not a rule breaker. I was not, but I am a very risky, adventurous person.
I know this.
So this is maybe where the craziness comes in, Tracy. I will do anything. Jumping out of airplanes, I've done. Yeah, running through the Serengeti. More to come. I mean, I'm an extreme sports person. So I've always been like that growing up. So, but getting back to your point, my friends will say, if you want fun and adventure, Rhonda's your person.
Yeah.
Even my guy friends know I'll do anything to have fun. So I am very in business. I look at risk very, strategically. But I also know that the adventures are a huge risk that I do, but I will do anything. So I maybe break the rules in the adventures, Tracy.
Yeah, I get it. So money, was that a motivator for you when you look back and you realize what humble beginnings? Your mom, what was her day job?
Day job, she was in the front office of a FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, Overseas Private Investment Corporation. My dad was very successful, CEO of a company as well in telecom. He did great, but they were separated when I was early on, veteran. And it's, I saw her working so hard.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to give back to the world too.
Yeah.
And when I looked around, there were not many female leaders growing up.
Right.
I was like, we've got to do something about this.
Yeah. And so when you were tracking in your 20s, were you very career oriented, or were you thinking, I'm going to go where the money is? I want the career that's going to pay the best.
I wasn't money driven. I wanted to make sure it was purposeful, meaningful, and how I can learn.
And what was your first tech opportunity? Because I'm trying to imagine, and of course we're going to be 30 forever, so every year I'm 30. I don't know about you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Now 35.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll inch it up 5 years. But when you started tech, I can't imagine that there were, like, transitioning into tech, and I heard some of your story about CompuServe being the first business, and then AOL.
Yes.
Can you walk me through how you ended up in your first tech gig and what that looked like?
Absolutely. It was coming out of college, and I applied for a job at CompuServe, and this is going to date us. 9.6 X25 frame relay links. Gosh, it seems so long ago, so it dates us right there, but that's okay. So if someone could learn from it.
Yeah.
And got right into a managerial job for data centers.
Okay.
So managing where all the equipment technology is for the data centers with the network pipes, started managing all these facilities. So I was managing technology and teams coming out of college from the business and communication acumen. And then I fell into tech because I was at CompuServe learning about it, how we wrote the emails, coding. It was really interesting before email was an email perspective. So my career grew with the technology. So I was one that had to learn with it. And I loved it. I didn't even know I loved it. I was there for the people perspective of it, because I'm driven by people, and I've just never gotten out of technology. So I was one that grew with it, learned, made my mind think. It makes a difference in the world. Who would have known, Tracy, back then?
Right.
Girls That Code wasn't even around.
Right.
And none of this was around, dating ourselves. And then I had this man mentor at the time who would move me around, and all these, mergers at the time through all the telecommunication online, and I just never stopped in tech.
Yeah, I heard something in your story that you said, like, every 2 years he would move you to a new role. Were these increasing roles with responsibility, or were they cleanup jobs?
Both. And every time I would get so frustrated at him. And I didn't realize at the time what he was doing. So why do you keep moving me when I get it just the way it's running? He goes, because you're a people person and you have this gift that you don't know. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I like to create high performance teams.
Yep.
Because people make me tick. I love people and the fast pace. So he would keep moving every 2 years, and I still talk to him. It's amazing. He's retired. We still talk, and he openly admitted, I know it's frustrating to you, but you'll realize someday why I did it. And I'm so grateful for him. So grateful, Tracy, because I would have never put myself in these roles.
And so did he keep in putting you up with title as well as responsibility, or was it really just managing bigger and bigger teams?
The title changed sometimes, but it was more of go in here and I need you to clean this up. I'm like, I don't know anything about an operations center. You would walk in and it looks like NASA. Wow. Literally. And now it's, network operation, security operations center, and you would see maps of the world. And it was all the engineers behind it keeping the telecom and network going, and all the different technologies at the time. I'm like, okay, you want me to go in here and do what? And it was 24/7 around the world. This was, a long time ago. And he said, I need this team to perform. And
were you married at the time?
No, I was not married at the time. And I made a conscious decision, which I'm openly to talk about, not to have children.
Yeah.
I made it early on in my career. My best friend to this day, who's actually lives in Santa Monica, still to this day, I'm a great godparent. I have godparent duties, but I made a conscious decision not to, Tracy. And I married later in life, have 3 stepchildren. They're, I got them in their 20s and later, but I made a conscious decision not to, and to focus on my career and giving back to the world. That was pivotal. And I made that early. I would say that I made that in college, that decision.
Wow.
And I haven't openly admitted that, only to you.
Did you tell your friends at the time, or was that an internal process?
It was internal until my best friend had her children.
Yeah.
And she was begging me to have kids.
Interesting, because she wanted to do it with you.
And I said, I can't.
It's not for you.
Not for me. I can't. I give back in different ways.
Right.
Through STEM, through the Africa, through Boys and Girls, through veterans. That's through the teamwork. I'm all about helping and propping people up.
Yeah.
And I knew it. And I hope more people talk about it, because it's okay to make that decision.
100%. Not only is it okay, but I think the idea that we in our 30s especially are somehow supposed to have this trajectory on our career path, find the love of our life who we want to supposedly stay married to forever. And then, by the way, your fertility window is about 5 to 7 years in that time frame, and then figure out how to have children and continue your career path. I always scratch my head and say, what one of the stool legs has to give.
Absolutely.
So what is it going to be? So I think that's a very important conversation to have. Were you at that time, so was this time frame that you were being moved around by this mentor of yours, how old were you at that time, would you say? What period and what company were you with?
Oh my gosh, I was 22, 23.
Yeah.
And then I went to the finance world, and the youngest female managing director in the finance sector. So I jumped out of telecom into that. I was still in my 20s, still to this day. Gosh, it seems like, oh, Tracy. But I would not trade it for anything. And I was very blessed and fortunate in the finance sector to have a support group of men. I've lived the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yep.
I've seen it all. I'm openly to talk about all that and to persevere through all of that. But I had I can't say enough about my male friends till this day.
Yeah.
And I've kept them through my career.
Yeah.
And a great support system, because you can hear horrific stories, women putting themselves in awkward positions. But I was young.
Yeah.
I look back at that.
And were you in tech, and when you were in finance, were you also in tech?
Yes, always in tech.
So were you many times the only woman in the room?
Yes.
And did it ever dawn on you that was the case, or did you feel like, facts, it's move on?
Move on. When I walk into a room, I didn't even think about it, Tracy.
Yeah.
And it really, and I mentor folks that are like, I said, quit thinking of yourself like that. We're all equal. We put our pants on the same. Results speak for themselves.
Right.
Growing up, I never thought about I'm a male, female, what, maybe it's the sports side. I mean, it's just all about results.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, when I started raising capital for this business and I started meeting with finance folks to do that, then I recognized that it was very strange or odd to have a female founder business and be in the capital raising role. And so I recognized, as I met with 22 different firms, that it was very few and far between that I would see other women in the room. But I had Christy Hefner, my mentor and chairman, sitting to my right, who's an icon in so many ways and has been breaking barriers for women for decades. And so I had the benefit of watching her run some of those conversations and interface on the finance side, and I realized how unusual it is for us to not really understand what it would have been like for the women that came right before us and led some of the charges that have, the Kate Koplowicz and the Christy Hefners. Because talk about really being the only woman in the room. But in your case, you really are in tech many times the only woman in the room.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And growing up, now I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
a majority of the time, and never thought twice about it. I mean, I've had pencils thrown at me, Tracy.
Yeah.
Just people getting mad, investment bankers, because of their network going down, and rightfully so. 30 seconds, you can lose a big trade.
Well, that's a big problem too, right? Tech is stressful.
Exactly.
It's like
very stressful.
If my internet doesn't work, I'm calling Spectrum. I'm like, what's happening here? Somebody needs to come over immediately.
Back then, the trading floors were hopping.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all screaming, and if tech wasn't working.
So you worked on Wall Street literally supporting the folks on the floor.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Wow.
Investment banking, commercial bank, retail bank, all the technology, the back end, the front end, so everything.
And
it was
what
just
years
different
were
lines
this?
of business. Those were in the 90s into 2000.
Do you remember a meltdown, like a Wall Street finance meltdown in the middle of any of this? Did that happen?
I remember, yes, I do. I remember when Lehman Brothers was going under, and it's a sad story. I remember going into the office and, getting the call that we were going to sell things off. I was at a breakfast with my family, and I got the call, and we all had to get into New York City before Monday morning, and everyone saw the boxes and of people walking out. And I remember this gentleman getting so emotional, Tracy, and picking up a chair, and literally was like trying to, take the chair in the window. And all I have is Lehman. My whole savings is gone.
Wow.
Crying, meltdown personally. Of course, technology meltdowns happen all the time, and that's what we live in. But the meltdowns that people had emotionally,
Yes.
with putting everything there, I'll never forget that. And managing through crisis, people losing, they can't put their kids through,
Yeah.
losing everything.
Right.
And who was going to stay to unwind. And yeah, that was pretty pivotal in the career.
Have you found you're very attractive?
Thank you, Tracy. I don't consider
You are,
that, but
and
so are you.
Thank you. Have you found your looks working for you or against you?
I never think of it like that.
You haven't
Never.
in any of these roles.
No.
It's never.
No, because I don't see myself as that, which is strange. No, I don't. I just show up, perform. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And you haven't had a situation where you have to kind of back out of an awkward conversation related to.
I don't put myself in those positions.
Yeah.
Because I probably, living the Wolf of Wall Street days, I've seen a bunch of stuff.
I know, we've all seen those movies. That's why I ask.
I've lived it, but not, I'm just saying, I've seen all of it in front, and putting, I never put myself in an awkward position, probably because I don't know if it's my Catholic upbringing, Tracy, my mother,
Yeah.
and working so hard, but I was determined with a moral compass not to be known for that.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm proud of that now. I didn't realize it at the time, but I'm very proud of that. I've never, no, and my guy friends wouldn't do that to me. And
Yeah.
I made that I didn't give off that aura.
Yeah. Well,
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And I don't think you would, but I think, powerful women who are attractive and articulate and successful, I think just by virtue of that can be in awkward situations.
Yeah.
I have had to bob and weave in situations, and I just learned how to be gracious.
Right.
And act like it's like, as if it's not happening.
I mean, even at cocktail parties, right? I
Yeah.
have a rule,
Yeah.
what you do, exit the conversation for
Yeah.
work. I think more people need to know that etiquette. And
Yeah.
growing up,
Yeah.
younger women, especially now,
Yeah.
with the way the world is, to
Yeah.
learn what's right and wrong. And it's important. And that's why I wrote that book too, because I want people to learn it's not, you don't wake up and it's instant.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with social media these days. There's a
Right.
lot of hard work that goes into it, and being a woman and an only child gives its own pressure,
Right.
pressures. But you're right, you have to be able to traverse the conversation, say, I don't feel comfortable. You've just crossed the line.
Yeah. That's a fine thing to say.
It's fine. And
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, really?
Right.
And once you say that to someone,
Right.
they're like,
It's easy.
it's an easy discussion.
I know, and it doesn't seem like it doesn't it doesn't seem as obvious as it actually is, right? You can just say, I'm not comfortable with this conversation. I think we should probably pivot.
Exactly.
And then it just diffuses it.
Right.
And it moves that on. What was your career moment that you realized you made it? Did you have a particular role in one of these companies or get a title or have something that just you thought, this is a pause moment. I think I might have made it. I don't know what made it to you mean, so I want to dig into that. But do you remember that feeling?
Oh, I would say, I don't know, Tracy, there were so many. At JP Morgan, when you become a managing director, and I didn't realize, well, they had this huge party, and it was nice to introduce. It was with another gentleman, that we made MD together, and everyone kept saying, "Do you realize what a big deal this is?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is a managing director job for," and all the people that showed up, and they're still in my life, were so gracious, and I was like, "Wow, this is something a big deal," but I didn't realize it till later. And I still don't think I really realize it, because I realize it doing the Africa run more than in the corporate, because it brings everything together.
Yeah.
I realized it a couple years ago that this is what I meant to do, not just corporate, but giving back with the corporate athlete, running through the Serengeti for a cause.
Yes.
That people like really gravitated towards this run, and I realize now that it's a part of my legacy, and I'm going to do it in October.
Yes.
And this will be the third year. And 2 years ago, when I brought the Olympic athlete, Veronica, that I've been mentoring, during that run, I realized probably, okay, I'm running technology, I'm mentoring an athlete that I believe in wholeheartedly, helping her transition out of, her skeleton career, being an Olympian. And I realized then, I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. I've reached that point, and I'm going to continue to do it. And that's why I'm focused on making a difference in people's lives, no matter what gender they are, because even men,
right?
I feel about the men, and this other stuff with the veterans that we have going on now. And I've realized that, Monty asking for the mentorship means a lot, and some of the other veterans that I know.
Yeah.
Because I realized it too, Tracy, it's not just women, it's men.
Sure.
And that's an important part of the story.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I realized, okay, it's more than just leading in a corporate environment, which I love my job.
Right.
But it's more facets of life.
And what was the first role that you were in where you had over, let's say, 10,000 direct report or people reporting into you?
Well, that was HP we didn't even talk about. There was some HP folks, and all sorts of matrixed. I never think about numbers.
Yeah, but it is a big deal when you have that
global role.
Yeah,
it is global role. In India, I wear saris all the time.
Yeah,
I have saris in my closet that I'm more comfortable in a sari than I am in this jumpsuit right now.
Right.
From all the traveling in India, so. Yes, the global and the people. A lot of people look at it, how many people do you manage? Well, I look at it as a scope. So thanks for bringing that up. But I really look at the impact, even though if they're not in the organization.
Yeah.
I believe in leading from every chair and impacting people that are in the tech division.
Yeah, of course. And so as you're leading, and digital transformation is really the key here, because even in the 2 decades that you've been doing this professionally, the world has had digital transformation. If we think about it, the Apple phone, I think, is a decade old, right? Yep. So think about all of the apps and the music and the video and everything that's now available. In terms of your current role of Chief Information Officer at Herbalife Nutrition, do you feel like you wake up and spend most of your time focused and thinking about tech strategy, or are you really looking at most of your time on leadership and transforming teams and thinking about the next generation of business from the team perspective? How's your day spent?
Days all over. Answer your question, all of that. Strategy, risk, team, growing the company, what's in the moment, what's happening around, leading through COVID, all of that, and globally. Or when are we coming back to work? What's the hybrid model? So a strategy, not just in the moment, but the long-term tech roadmap for 3 to 5 years to get to the company from 5 to 10 to 20 billion. So in leading teams, and right now we're dealing with burnout on Zoom. There's no boundaries. So right now it's because we're used to traveling, Tracy, that commute time on the airplane. Now we're just spinning up these Zoom calls. So, I spend my time also making sure everyone remains motivated.
Right.
Because the boundaries right now have all blurred.
Yeah.
And
it's true, right?
People aren't talking about that, and they need to, because mental health, I'm spending a lot of time making sure that who's alone, and COVID's been over a year.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the mental wealth aspect, make sure people are working out. I know it sounds crazy, but it's really not. We're gonna have a whole other aspect to deal with once people come out of this.
Right.
And digital transformation, yes, transforming, ease of use for technology, how we build out technology, yes, that will always be there, but there's a whole human mindset that needs to be there too with it. You
Right.
can have the greatest technology.
Right.
And you heard me say this, but the people are what make it tick.
Yes. And how much would you say your athletic training and the work that you do to prepare for a triathlon, which sounds like it sounds like its own full-time job, really. How much of that discipline or things that you're thinking about or techniques are you applying in your current role as
All the
leadership?
time. All the time. Pivoting, decision making, hard decisions, time boxing. It's like a race. Very, very on point, very pivot. So when you're swim, bike, run, when you get out of the swim, you're transitioning another thought. It's like in the boardroom, another thought. What's coming at you?
Right.
I use it all the time. Training. I'm very disciplined. So.
What time do you wake up to work out?
Well, the alarm went off at 4 today.
Yeah. You've already lived 2 full-time days. It's right 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock right now, and
yes,
she's like, I'm ready for dinner.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay, so you're up at 4, and then what?
So it depends on the day. It never stops, especially on where we are now. But meeting to meeting to meet, it's just
And is that because your
intense.
schedule is global, meaning you have time zone to talk to people?
Absolutely. I usually front load my week because of China and just the whole. I want to be respectful. You don't want to be scheduling a Friday night call.
Sure.
To another region. That's so disrespectful from a cultural perspective.
Of course.
But the days bleed, the nights bleed. This is the boundaries. This is the issue that we're dealing with the Zoom fatigue. It's real, and it's a global time zone. And we're usually on planes, and we'll be there soon. Thank goodness you and I are safe and healthy and vaccinated.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to somewhat normal.
Yeah.
Hybrid normal, and we'll have more boundaries put in.
Right.
I miss the commute transition time to think.
Sure, I do too. And so on an average day when you're waking up at 4, are you then taking time to work out? Do you meditate? What happens when your feet hit the ground?
When my feet hit the ground, my workout's done by 6 a.m.
Wow.
Otherwise it's not done.
Okay.
I'm usually swimming in the pool by 5,
Okay.
depending upon where I am.
Yeah.
Or I'm running outside. I haven't gone to a gym in, 5 years.
And an average day's
Oh, that's
run
the
is how
hotel.
long?
Depends on the time.
Yeah.
So if it's a Monday, I'll kick off Monday really, really good. 8 miles, so an hour and 10, 15, depends on how Sunday goes.
Yeah.
Swimming, 2 miles Monday, usually, which is, it's not a long time.
Yeah.
I just stay ready for a race.
Right.
That's my mission. I'm just staying in shape for, if it opens up tomorrow, I can go out and do a 70.3 Ironman.
What is a 70.3 Ironman?
That's a great question. So You swim 1.2 miles,
Yeah.
you bike 56,
Okay.
and then you run a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles,
Okay.
all at the same day. You don't stop.
And how long does that normally take?
Depends where it is. I have one coming up in June, which is in the hills in the Appalachian Mountains. So it depends. There's a time meter on it for 8 hours. It's a long time.
8 hours, meaning they
Max.
say your time is up
Yeah.
if you haven't hit the 8 hour mark. Holy smokes.
8.5 in some areas, but yes, they pull you off the course. So this is not something that you want to keep going for 24 hours. So,
Yeah.
but I'm not out there to win the race, Tracy. I'm out there for the mindset, clear the head. That's my active meditation. I know it sounds crazy.
I get it.
But that's where I get my thinking time, and it's probably going to sound even more crazy. I'm not on my device.
Yeah, that's good. That's a detox. And who are you training with? Do you do this on your own, or do you have any training partners?
I have Liz Tremaine, who's won her age group. She's in Connecticut. I look up to her. We're doing the one in Virginia together.
Okay.
She'll win her age group.
Wow.
She's in 50 or 59 age group. She'll win it. I mean, she's amazing. Lawyer, now does this full time. I just look up to her athletics. And she's gotten hurt so many times as well. We both had accidents in these races, severe bike accidents, both of us, that we've had to come back from, which is a whole other thing to overcome and
Yes.
persevere.
Yeah.
So I train with her on a Saturday,
Yeah.
but we all do our separate things. That's my time to think.
Yeah.
But I'm on a program, we know what works for each other. But that's the time to think. But I'm not out there, at the gym with someone every day. No, I'm not doing that.
Right. I get it. So in terms of when you're building out your teams at the office, do you encourage everyone to exercise as part of your activity?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have a whole regimen around how to motivate your team, and does it include something athletic?
Yes, and they're going to do this Herbalife Nutrition Triathlon through LA, October 24th. They are all, I don't care if they walk, Tracy.
Oh my God,
Some of
that's
them are
so
learning
funny.
to swim.
Oh my gosh.
Through fear. Some of them are learning to bike.
Is this the entire company or tech people specifically in your team?
Well, I'm motivating the tech team, but the entire company is involved in it. But yes,
Amazing.
some of them are learning to swim. And I've always done that. Even at Estee Lauder, we would have these meetings on the treadmill. Everyone would laugh at me going, oh, Rhonda's out on the treadmill at 4 a.m. If you want a decision, go run side by side with her. And people picked up on that. And then they got in a health regimen. This was before I was in health and wellness. Then the more intense my job got, the more I worked out. This was my outlet.
Yeah.
My healthy outlet. And that's how people have gotten to know that, hey, health is a big part of what makes me tick.
So what time are you in bed?
Depends on the day. Everyone always asks me that question. That's why I wear this Whoop band.
I do too.
Sleep is, I need to work on that.
Yeah.
That's one of my weaknesses.
That's an opportunity.
Absolutely. No one is
Well,
perfect.
I think you're probably doing pretty well without it. So I average 6.5 hours a night, and I know it's supposed to be more. My Whoop tells me, by the way, Tracy, you're supposed to get this much sleep tonight. It tells me this thing's so annoying, but I love it.
I know. I'm addicted to it.
I'm so competitive. I'd look at my Whoop score. I'm like, oh, I'm like, I need more time with my pillow because I just failed my sleep metric.
Oh,
but
yes.
I mean, it's just one of those things that if I don't keep a data metric where I can review my performance.
We both have it on. How ironic is that? But you have the pink one. You look more fashionable.
Well, I have 4 different band choices. This is actually a discussion that my boyfriend and I have all the time about my bands. But
hilarious.
I mean, it's good. So a couple things I think are interesting we should talk about. So referencing your book, Grit and Grind, 10 Principles for Living an Extraordinary Life. I really enjoyed this for a few reasons. One, I actually identify with several of the things that you recommend. I love how you say, for example, if you want to accomplish something, do a work back schedule. Start with the end in mind and work backward. And I do that as well, which I think for me, when I have so many balls juggling, I have to do a work back schedule because otherwise I can't get it all in. And I hate being unprepared. So being prepared is so important. Talking about being prepared, I really enjoyed your connection to Africa and South Africa in particular. The Serengeti run, we should just touch on that. So just to give the listener the benefit of what this means, I want to give it some context because it came from your book. So you're getting ready for one of your big runs or big events where you had to go on this trip for work, and you all of a sudden realized, I have to continue to train.
Right.
And so the only way I can do that is get outside and train every day. Somehow I read that you mentioned, oh, by the way, I'm going to be running through the Serengeti. And everyone's like, no, there's rhinoceros, there's wild animals. You could be, attacked by a lion or a cheetah.
Exactly.
You can't just go running through the Serengeti. That sounds like something I would do. So what do? She's like, I'm still going to go run. I have to. So they hire 4 bodyguards, right?
Yes.
Who are front and back running. I'm visualizing this. So they're running through the Serengeti with you. Do they have weapons?
They do. They have guns. My best friend thought I was absolutely insane. We were on vacation. I'm like, I'm landing and I'm going to do an Ironman 70.3 in Maryland.
Yeah.
So I have to get my run in. And Sangeeta was like, you don't understand. No one goes out here and runs. You'll get killed. I was like, well, I have to get my run out. They're like, go in the tent and get in the treadmill. I was like, no, I cannot run on the treadmill. I have to run. I don't see anything. There's dirt. So meanwhile, you're absolutely right, Tracy. My best friend is standing there, who I've known since 2 years old. And she's like, oh my gosh, Rhonda, I was not taking no for an answer, Tracy. Yeah. I just knew I need to run. And there was planes, and it's the middle of the day, zebras, you could see it. And I just knew nothing was going to happen. Well, they had guns. And this little run, well, it wasn't a little run, 8 to 9 miles at first. And then the staff enjoyed it. So there were a couple staff members that did it with me the first day. They thought I was crazy. They thought, this crazy American woman, what's she doing? Well, it was so popular that the next day we did it again. And the staff, more people joined. More people joined that liked to run, that worked at the resort, that missed running because they were working so much, that they do the race, Mount Kilimanjaro marathon. And I became close with the staff.
Interesting.
And I love people all around the world. I love diversity of thought. That's what makes me tick, building out high performance teams. And I made these connections at this resort. And Grace, female manager there, she's since moved on. I'm going to see her in October in her hometown. I can't wait because it's going to be a reunion. She's not at the resort anymore. But I came back the following. Well, when I went into the community the next day with my best friend, someone said, "Are you the woman that we've heard about running?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" To me, Tracy, it was no big deal. I was just out exercising.
Yeah.
And it's metamorphosed into, the conservation and giving back. And I said I did this in June. I came back in October to kick off this run. Who goes back to Africa from June to October? It's a big commitment.
Yeah.
But I was committed years ago to do this run.
How many years have you been doing this?
This was, last year we didn't do it because of COVID. So I've done it 2. This will be my 3rd year.
Wow. And how many miles is it in total now?
55.
And you do all these young women participate, or is it village or a lot of?
Good point. So the first day is the village of 3.5 miles or 3 miles, depends on where we start, to be honest. We're holding hands, we're singing.
Fun.
In
That's
their
the day I
languages.
want to do.
It's the community.
I want to do the fun day.
The fun day. The community fun day. At the end, we do like a job fair or something. They had health and wellness. They had technology. I was in the technology booth. And, teaching these kids, showing them what to do on the computer, which I love giving back to STEM, obviously, science, technology, engineering, and math. Then the next 3 days, then that's where the run. So to be honest, I get more out of the community. The other run is wonderful because we raise funds for the kids. But you have to run the whole distance. And you do see all these animals. They switched out the armed guards every 3 to 4 miles. You can hear the guards, they're chinking their boots, how heavy they are.
Jeez.
They had the first year or the second year, we had to get boots donated for the guards. So someone gave a generous donation to get them new shoes.
So they could run with you through the Serengeti and protect you from wild animals. Let's just be really clear.
So that it's a whole big, it's a whole
amazing.
big production for, the girls, the conservation,
Yeah.
and absolutely.
And now do people sponsor you? Is this money raising? Does it raise money or awareness or both?
Both. It raises awareness for the kids. It's a big commitment over there. I'm so committed to. I can't wait to go back in October and do it again.
Yeah.
And it's a journey to get there.
I bet.
It's a couple of day journey. It's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you do have to disconnect.
Yeah.
And Veronica and I did it, 2 years ago, and we had such the best time taking her on that journey. And she's not a runner, but you have to train for it because it's the heat, it's the hydration. It's a lot of stimuli coming at you, animals, and I don't have that fear aspect, but some people do have that fear aspect.
Sure.
Which is right.
And how many people are now doing this and participating?
Less than a dozen.
Okay.
It's a small group because you can't have that many people running through that.
Because then the lions get hungry.
It's true. It's a good point, Tracy. It's a great
Wow,
point.
those people look delicious. I'm going to
Sure we do, don't we? Thank you for picking up on that. It's fun.
Well, just to highlight this, because I think the price of not being prepared. So you say there are certain things in life you can just get by on. You can float your way through and fly by the seat of your pants. Want my advice on that? Don't. For one thing, do you really want that legacy when you leave the planet, right? Do you really want to be known as the person who always wings it? Plus, and deep down you know this, that the really worthwhile things in life are the ones that require more preparation, not less. So when you hindsight on your personal journey, what would you say has been a couple of the big highlights or things that you say it was so worth it to prep because this is one of the things that I cherish and love the most in my life?
Besides the run and keeping up with athletics?
Yeah.
Because I know I'm prepared.
Yeah. You are sure prepared.
And I'm not going to wing it.
Yeah.
Because I stay ready.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm stay ready through COVID even. Everyone's like, why are you still training? What? Very proud of that. I'm ready to make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm quick to make a good decision. I'm prepared because of I purposely moved. I like to manage through crises, worldly events, as you rattled off all those companies. I'm proud of that. And I think that's important because it leaves a legacy. It's not a one and done. It's multiple times in the most pivotal parts of worldly events, where most people break down.
Yeah. And do you have fear moments now? Do you wake up cold sweat middle of the night? And if so, about what? What makes you?
I have fear moments, not from an adventure. I have fear moments that, I'm worried about the team working too hard. I worry about just mental health right now is a big topic. So pushing, I just want to make sure we're balanced and really actively talking about that. So I wake up because I care. I'm a very loyal person, probably to a fault in some aspects, but I care a lot. I wake up thinking about, the people, who's alone. We've lost some members during COVID, everyone has. So pushing through that and being strong for the team.
And in terms of your next phase of your career, what would be the epic kind of threshold or next barrier breaking moment for you? Do you have something that weighs on you or that you think about or that gives you tingles and you think, ooh, if I could go do that, that would be next?
Well, if I could be a female in Navy, no, I can't be. I'm very dedicated to the military, but I give back in different ways for that. Running a company, be on a board, very, very to give back to the world.
Yeah.
I'm all about giving back to the world, Tracy. That's where I'm focused. Yes, corporate. I love being in corporate, but giving back to the world is my big, on a global scale.
and making an impact.
And making a very purposeful mission-driven purpose. Yeah. I'm that person globally. I'm not here sitting, no offense, in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, Africa is a great example.
Yeah.
Doing the Ironman in Bahrain.
Yeah.
Which was interesting within itself. You know, that was crazy too. Amazing. I was one of the few females doing that in Bahrain, of all places in the Middle East.
I read it in one part about the close kidnapping in India.
Yes.
Was that a scary moment for you?
That was in my early naive 20s.
Yeah.
Where I was shoe shopping and not having emotional intelligence at the time to not have, I mean, my gosh, who doesn't love shoes?
Right.
And when I had shopping bags, yes, it was very scary. And that's when I woke up from that moment going, Rhonda, that was dumb. Why did you go shoe shopping and not pay attention to your surroundings?
Yeah.
And I learned very quickly there. Early 20s.
Yeah.
Early 20s, financial services.
Yeah. So those scary moments, right? Those aha moments where you think, okay, this is changing my life forever in those trajectories. And reminding you that we're human and that we got to take a moment and slow down and pay attention, right, is sometimes an important thing.
Always. And I think that's why I never also put myself in those awkward positions, because that India, that was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
That wasn't at nighttime.
Right.
It wasn't, and I was like, I will never put myself in an awkward position, to your point earlier about those moments, because that was a life-changing event. That could have, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Right. And it sounds like you trusting your instinct in your gut is really, really key. And it also sounds like when you run, that's when you're processing a lot of these things as you're thinking through it, right? You're not listening to music. You're kind of thinking through like, oh, that doesn't feel right, or maybe I should call Susie. I think she's working too hard.
Absolutely. My active meditation, that's where I think. My digital detox.
Yep.
That's where my mindset goes, and I process everything during that. That's the time. People need that time.
Yeah.
They need to do more of that.
I agree. It's really key. Is there something you would go back in time and sit yourself down and say, Rhonda, listen to me, do this or don't do that? Do you have anything?
Yes, Rhonda, pay attention when you're in foreign countries.
Yeah.
That was the moment. Pay attention. It's okay to be upset and not think you're doing everything, because as we talked about earlier, there's always going to be something off balance. It's okay. I would tell someone listening to this, recognize it. I recognized this week, I knew something was going to be off balance because of just the work schedule. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do certain things. But I recognized and I put it out early in the week. Hey, if you don't hear from me, don't worry, but recognize something's going to be out of balance. I think that's very, very important. Make a decision early on. I make the hardest decisions before 8 a.m.
Interesting. Talk about that. Why?
I want it done. Before 8 in the morning, if someone gets a call, usually now they know, like, deal with the hardest things early in the morning. Don't wait till noon. Don't wait till 3 o'clock. Don't wait for Friday fire drills. Don't procrastinate.
I love that. So if you have to swallow a frog,
do it early.
It's going to be the first thing you do.
Absolutely.
After I finish my training run,
yes,
I'm going to make that phone call.
Make the phone call and do it early. And you'll feel better about it too. You won't be worried about it. And how's this? Just deal with it up front for the day. And that way you have the whole day to deal with it and you're not up all night.
Interesting. Okay. I like it.
And be mobile.
What does that mean?
Go get out. I mean, most people don't even have a passport. Is it up to date?
Yeah.
Are your shots up to date? If I say, hey, Tracy, let's go to Africa. Do you have your yellow fever shot? Are you immune? People don't prepare.
Yeah. And
it's amazing. So many times I've turned to folks at work and say, let's get on a plane. Oh, my passport's expired. It's have the common sense to make sure that you are ready and mobile, because you don't know when you're going to get tapped on the shoulder at work to go, you're going here.
Yeah.
I would tell someone that early in their career to make sure they're prepared for that.
I love that.
Is their driver's license updated? Now we're all getting new driver's license, Again, it's just little things that people need to know.
Yeah, I get it. It's so important. I love it. Okay, so I have some quick fire questions.
All right, speed dating.
I love this because I think it's always interesting to hear perspective. So one of these you've answered, but question 1, what time do you wake up in the morning?
Well, 4 a.m.
Saturday and Sundays?
Saturday, no. That's probably 6 a.m.
Okay.
Sunday, I give myself no alarm clock.
Yeah, that's nice. And so what time do you wake up naturally?
6:30. 8. I usually do, and I go back to sleep. Like my best friend's like, "Can you come Sunday to a baseball game?" Like, I'm sleeping. Like,
good.
You have to have a date with your pillow.
Yes, yes, to rest.
For our Whoop, Tracy.
Yes, I know. To catch up on our Whoop scores. Do you meditate?
No, I meditate actively when I'm running, but I am not one. It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but moving meditation is very important. It's just another form.
That's my vice.
Do you watch TV?
Not a lot, no. I watch action movies. I'm an action person.
Jason Bourne.
I love everything action. Anything action. I'm not a chick flick girl. I'm not.
Yeah, but I love a good Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
I can't wait for them to come out with more. We talked a little bit about this. How many languages do you speak, including English?
Well, Italian, I understand Spanish. I've lost all my other stuff. So, but I'm very proud of that.
Strength.
It's a strength. I need to start getting back into it. But with Zoom, once I start traveling, I'll pick some stuff back up.
Yes, it's any day now. Okay, this is a fun one. Do you believe in aliens?
No, I believe in other aspects of the world, spiritually.
Yeah. But no aliens.
No.
Okay.
And I'm in artificial intelligence.
Yes. So. That's its own version of an alien.
So maybe from a tech perspective.
I've had some really interesting responses to that question, so I always find it interesting. And what is your favorite age thus far? Like, what was the year that you think, whoops, if I could go back in time, I would definitely go back and do this year again?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question, Tracy. What would I want to go back and relive?
Yeah, or you say, I have a magic wand and I can go back and do 32 one more time. Is there a year?
There's not a year. There's probably the moment with the Wolf of Wall Street days I would relive. I love the financial crisis, managing through that and all that. I think that was because it was so intense. I love intense stuff. I just love intensity.
Yes. And so, and I'm going to add one to your list because I know how you love extreme sports. As a gal who also loves adrenaline and does fun things, what would you say you would recommend I try first? Cave diving, airplane jumping, rock climbing. Do you have a must try first activity that you think I should try first?
Skydiving.
Do you?
Absolutely. When you put your foot when you are coming out of the airplane and you put your foot on the silver, or you just jump and do a somersault, which is fun too. But your first one, when you put your foot and you look, Tracy, I'll go with you if you want. Let's go.
I would love to. So is it adrenaline 10.0 or what's the experience?
It is the first time, and you get, when you put your foot, you're like, what the heck? There's no turning back. I mean, the pilot will say that, but once you get out, it's
fab.
Yeah, you have to do it. This is a no-brainer.
And did you raise your insurance before
yes.
you did this? This is a practical Tracy
yes.
asking this question.
Yes.
To be prepared. Do you
raise the insurance? I called the executors of my will. Okay. I called my friends to say, hey, if something happens, absolutely.
Okay, so you close the loop on all that.
Close the loop on everything, and everyone was like, oh no, please don't. And I said, you're my witness. I'm doing this. Everything was prepared.
Okay.
Rachel got a call. Michelle, I could name off all of them.
Okay. And how many times have you jumped?
Twice.
Wow. Holy smokes.
And I'm ready to do it again.
I have my 10-year-old, I would have to get him to 18 before I would be willing to do that. That's one of my preps, is getting my kiddo out the door.
I took my stepdaughter.
After that, I would do it.
Yeah. You should do it, Tracy.
I totally will do it.
What? So you haven't done it because of...
I haven't done it now because I have kids, and I just feel like I wouldn't take extraordinary risk at this point. But I will definitely do it.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, I'm in completely. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Tracy.
And if there's anything that you think is important for anyone listening that you would want to share, I want to talk about your social handles so people can follow you, and also grab your book, because I think they need to read this to be really understand what it takes to have an extraordinary life, from someone who's obviously lived and built an extraordinary life in so many different areas. So how can they reach you on your social media handles? What's the best way to connect?
Sure. Rhonda M. Vetere on Instagram, Rhonda M. Vetere at Gmail.
And that's Vetere.
You got it. Yeah. Yes. And Facebook's the same, but I would say more Instagram. But what I would want them to also learn is don't give up. And make sure you have people around you that you want, that are like-minded and that challenge you.
Yeah.
And to purge the ones that take emotional capacity away from you.
Amen. Right? One of the things I would highly recommend to those listening to get to know you better is to watch your Instagram connection with the Navy SEAL from SEAL 6.
Yes, Monty. Yes.
I think those who want to understand Rhonda's mindset and how she sees the world, she's taken a pretty gruff, tough Navy SEAL who's clearly had to be in the line of fire and do a lot of really incredible things, transition into maybe a more holistic, well-rounded individual, in a way that you bring your tenacity and your resilience, and he brings his tenacity and resilience, so you both meet each other in that way, I feel.
We do.
But you have such a beautiful femininity and softness, and it's kind of helping him soften his edges. Am I saying that in an appropriate way that helps it?
Thank you, Tracy. You're the first one sitting here. Monty Heath, hopefully you folks watch this unfold.
Yes. And
I'm very committed to him and to the veterans. And yes, that's what we're doing. And
you're training together.
We're training together. We're doing a lot together, and we are, and just like Veronica, doing a lot together with the run. It's doesn't matter what gender, but this one is very unique because we both have obviously military connections, but our mindset, we have we fill different gaps, and you're right. We're training. We're doing a lot.
And you're highlighting this on IG Live as almost a docuseries.
Yes.
Where you're in the process of peeling back some of his tough layers.
Yes.
But this is a guy who was literally going in under bin Laden as part of the SEAL team.
Yeah, he did SEAL Team 2, he did 6, and then got out. He's an amazing individual, and I want the world to know him as a human.
Yeah.
Not just everything that he's done for this country, but he's amazing. You'll see him a lot. But yes, I am highlighting him. I hope people follow the journey, Tracy, because we just started it.
Oh, they will.
And
it's really amazing.
I'm glad that you picked up on it, because sitting here with you, you're the first one. A lot of people are sending me messages. We want more. We want more. We want more. And there is more.
Yeah.
But it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see it unfold live, and I hope people follow it, because it's going to impact the world.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, really having the opportunity to hear from a Navy SEAL talk about how his training has had to, and how his mindset and training has had to make him effective, and some of the things that he's a walking weapon.
He's amazing.
Literally. And so that's a heavy burden to carry as a human.
Yes.
Right? And so to learn how to put his feet back on the ground emotionally and reconnect with his human side with you has been really beautiful to watch.
You,
so it's exciting.
I can't wait I can't wait for 3 months or 6 months or a year when we have this conversation to see where
he is,
where he is as we've marked this date sitting here with you, because I have a high hope and vision and strategy, just like this book for him.
Yes.
That a real life, like with Veronica, but with Monty especially, that I want the world to see.
Yes.
And it's not, I'm all about people supporting people with the right mindset.
Yeah, I can tell. It's really cool. So thank you so much for sharing that. And
Thank
definitely
you.
Everyone check it out, because it is a really, if you want to understand how a Navy SEAL after all of his service is now re-entering the world as the man that he is, with all the background that he has and the human training he's had as a killer, but as now a human being who walks the earth, it's super fascinating.
Yes, I hope that more people look at it and impacts and someone picks this up, because this is going to unfold and really be a big global story.
Yeah, I can tell.
And you have it here first.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch. I want to meet Monty. If he's listening, I want to check it out. I have so many questions for Monty after I watched it.
We could be sitting here together, Tracy.
Seriously, I just want to ask him so many questions. So anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for tuning in to From Potential to Powerhouse, Success Secrets from Female Leaders with your host, Tracy Holland.